Welcome to WaunaTalk. My name is Gabe Altenburn, and I will be your host as we discover new things, meet new people, and have a blast doing it. On today's segment, I have with me Phil Willems, one of the village's board members. Phil, thanks for coming.
A pleasure.
A couple questions for you, pretty easy. So first off, how long have you been on the village board?
Approximately 10 years. I was on the board when Todd was hired, and in fact, I was on the board when we hired the administrator ahead of him, who didn't work out. But so I think at the end of my current term, I'll have been on the board for about 12 years.
And then do you serve on any committees or anything like that?
I serve, right now I serve on Public Works. And, no, not Public Works, I was on that. I'm on Planning, Senior Services, and Parks and Rec.
That's wonderful.
I've pretty much served on all of them. I've been and finance.
Oh, yeah.
I've been rotated around over the years to almost all of them.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Can you tell me about your educational background and career path, and what led you to get involved in local government?
Okay, I had a typical elementary and high school career, mostly parochial schools and Catholic education. I went to a Jesuit high school that was a college prep school. Had 2 years of college at UW-Milwaukee. After 2 years there, I left to pursue my retail career, which lasted for some 20 years with that company, and then after that I ended up in Waunakee. Spent a little time trying to be an insurance salesman, and then took a job as a sales rep for a four-state area, looking for a place where I could open a Ben Franklin store. And on one of my days on my trips out of town for the week, I saw a sign that said they're going to build a mall in Waunakee. And I said, this is my home. And I opened a Ben Franklin and spent the next 23 years with my Ben Franklin until Ben Franklin went out of business. I closed and concentrated on my retirement and my investment in 4 area Culver's restaurants that I had gotten into. Along the way, I was always very interested in Waunakee growing, Waunakee being a nice place to live. I saw many people serve on the village board. I liked what they did. In a very few cases, I didn't like what they did, and I thought maybe I could offer another voice to it. And I thought, well, I'll run for the board and spend 2 years on the board, and that'll be a really nice thing to do. And then turned out I had trouble leaving. So here I am, and this is, and threatening to have this be my last time, but long story short, I kind of got involved in it because of my grandfather and some of my uncles. My grandfather, who came to this country as a 2-year-old from Germany, ended up to be a representative in Arkansas for a number of years, and then in fact, he was a justice of the peace down there. And he also, in fact, and afterwards, his one of his sons, one of my uncles, ended up running for the seat he had, and holding it for so many years. And he ended up working very closely with one of our presidents, Bill Clinton, who came from Arkansas, which was where my grandfather and uncles were from. So that's, it's kind of a family thing, and the fact that I'm kind of interested in Waunakee that led me to do it.
Fantastic. You've been around for a while, so this may be hard, but what do you think most people in the community don't know about you that would offer a glimpse into your passions?
They probably don't know that before I came to Waunakee, the longest I ever spent in anywhere in my adult life was about 3 years.
So you moved around a lot.
Because I got transferred around a lot. They also don't know that every one of my children was born in a different state. Uh, they probably wouldn't know that my mother-in-law, who didn't know that I was already knew her daughter, brought me home one time to meet her daughter. And so I had a unique relationship. I got along with my mother-in-law as well as I got along with my mother, and my wife got along with my mother as well as she got along. They don't know all the places I lived in, and in all those places I tried to get involved with the village or the town or etc. And in most cases, I was working in bigger towns and didn't have the small town feel. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people would think I've been in a small town all my life, but it's only the last half of my life.
Can you tell me about where you grew up and what defined your childhood?
I grew up on a farm in Arkansas for the first 12 years. Defining my childhood would be, it was a different time, a different place. We lived in a house that didn't have electricity, didn't have central heat. Heat was a potbelly stove in the middle of the house. We didn't have inside plumbing. The restroom was a little house across the yard and over in the back of the corral where the cattle went. We pumped our water from a well nearby. I didn't have anyone that lived within a mile or two of us, so it was mostly just family. When I started school, we walked about a half a mile or so to a corner where a school bus picked us up. Our bus ride was about a mile, about an hour each way, morning and evening. And it was very interesting. I learned a very good lesson when I was about 8 years old. I wasn't where I was supposed to be when the bus picked us up to take us home from school. And I ended up having to walk home. And luckily one of my uncles drove by and picked me up. And I got a long lecture about being where I was supposed to be, and I learned a little bit there. But when I was 12 years old, my family had to move because of my father's health to Milwaukee, and I got to live in a town and had to learn things over again a little bit. And it was just such a unique thing to grow up on a farm in Arkansas and to have a pet like a pig. And so I really, I just had a varied childhood. I had both ends of it. I was blessed with parents that were always at home. Our family ate 3 meals together every day. If you weren't at the meal, you didn't eat. There was no such thing as leftovers. As I was growing up, in order for us to make ends meet, we rented out rooms to people in our house, to other people. And early in my career, instead of renting an apartment, I would rent a room in a house and live there. And one of the few people that I know that actually for 6 months I lived at the YMCA in Gary, Indiana. A unique experience there too. So I've had so many unique experiences, I just can't go on about what I've done.
That's fantastic. Who or what in this community inspires you? What keeps you going?
Everybody in this community inspires me. Waunakee maybe is not that much different than DeForest, maybe not that much difference in Danville. It's just so neat to be part of a community where so many people care. Whether, it doesn't matter that they care a little different than I think. It's just that they care and they're willing to get behind it and do something. A good example of it is when, after I opened my store and I wasn't meeting enough people, I heard this guy say, "Why don't you come play softball with us?" So I played softball. I met some more people. And I got on a bowling team and I met more people. And then I was invited to join the Rotary Club and I met more people. And as I started meeting these people, I had these opportunities to be part of something that would make life better. And so I was able to get onto committees and work towards doing things like putting up park shelters. Remember, one of our first projects was when we decided to build a gazebo in the village park, and I was able to chair that and do this. And it's just that in a small town, you were able to make a big difference, and that's what inspired me. And I see so many other people that made a big difference. For example, John Lobmeyer, who was a teacher who's passed away and was our village board president, etc., invited me to come and talk to his class and share my experiences with his class. I thought that was neat. You know, in the big city, they never let you do those things. Mm-hmm. So that's it's just that everybody works together in a small town. That's kind of inspires me.
They absolutely do. So when you meet someone who doesn't know anything about Waunakee, like me before I came to this village, how do you describe it?
Well, I generally describe it by asking them to come. I said, it's kind of hard to describe Waunakee because we have a massive amount of parks. You can't believe how many parks and green spaces we have in Waunakee. It's, conservatory areas, etc. Waunakee is, and maybe it isn't that unique, but it's a little town in Wisconsin on the edge of a big town that's got everything to offer. It's got a school system that's second to none, and it's growing. It's just the best place I've lived, and I have no intention to live anyplace else now that I've been here. People ask me why aren't you a snowbird? And I've thought about that a lot, and I said, well, yeah, but why would I go down there and miss all my friends up here? So I have no wish to go anywhere, and I think that people that haven't come to Waunakee or lived here for a while just don't know what they're missing. That's the only thing I could describe it.
That's wonderful. What is your favorite thing to do in Waunakee?
I guess one of my favorite things probably is getting involved with the village center and things it has to offer, outreach for the community. I actually look forward to when I have a Meals on Wheels route, in that my wife and I can go down there, visit with the people, pick up some meals, and go around and meet 18, 20 people, say hi, check on their well-being, and move on and feel good about what we've done. So I think my favorite thing is just to be able to enjoy life in Waunakee.
That's a wonderful answer. Thank you so much for coming. Are you ready to pick who's next?
Oh, you betcha.
Perfect.
That was really fun. Cindy Mosman, you're a winner.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Big thanks to Phil for coming on the show. We will be back with new episodes starting on January 5th with Cindy Mosman. the village's Senior Services Director. Make sure to follow the village's social media and website for important village updates. Until next time, stay warm and healthy.